Hello everyone, how y'all doing? So this video may or may not be the start of a couple of videos that I'm kind of planning on making where I talk more about the physical media experience, but not necessarily in terms of video games, or more so in terms of other mediums like, for example, film, animation, and music, which in my case, I think anime is a bit more important because I'm fairly certain that out of all of the Blu-rays that I've collected, most of them are anime. And honestly, the reason why I wanted to do this because I feel like for the past couple of years, I've talked mainly about video games. I've even shared what it's like to be like what the gaming experience is on Linux. And honestly, at some point, I thought maybe I should talk more about like the anime experience because thinking back, I don't even necessarily spend the majority of my time playing video games. I mean, sure, my PC is a bit more, you know, gaming rig oriented, given the CPU, GPU, the amount of RAM and SSD, whatever. Obviously, this is built primarily to be the best gaming device, at least at the time that I built, the best that I could build. But, you know, well, with the money that I have, obviously, I think even at the time, I think RDNA 3 had already come out, so I don't think it was the best that I could have built. But regardless, it was what made sense for what I was targeting. And so obviously, you know, it's because of that that I do end up making quite a few videos talking about my experience gaming on Linux. But at the end of the day, gaming is not the only thing I do. I do also watch a lot of anime. And I have made videos in the past where I have alluded to certain tools and programs that you can use to watch anime unofficially. Now, I'm not going to share in this video because the last time I did that, my video got taken down. So I don't really want to risk doing that, but I mean, if you've watched my channel for long enough, I'm sure you probably already know what tool I'm talking about. But the video that I do plan on making, I guess it's gonna speak more from a, you know, sort of like an official legal perspective. You know, if for example you're someone that's into either streaming, like through this official streaming services like Crunchyroll or whatever, which I do intend on talking a little bit, but also in terms of from the perspective of someone that owns physical media. Now, just as a spoiler, if you buy DVDs, your experience is honestly gonna be pretty swell. But when it comes to Blu-rays, there's a bit more that you have to do. And for the past couple of weeks, I did actually have a lot of trouble, not even a little, a lot of trouble, understanding just what exactly I can actually do to, you know, be able to use my Blu-rays because I can't use it on my PS5 because not every Blu-ray that I order necessarily comes from for the region that my PS5 supports. And while my USB Blu-ray that's on my PC, while it doesn't have region locks, for a long time I just wasn't really able to get them to work on PC unless the only reason why I wanted to use my Blu-rays was to just simply dump them. And yeah, sure, dumping media is great. It's great for preservation. But I'm gonna be honest with you, some of the shit that I've dumped, like it's like I think it was like what the fucking Gintama movie, the final movie, the one that came out in 2021, I believe. That thing was like 40 gigabytes just for like a movie that I don't even think is like 2 hours. Is like that is a lot. Like I'm not going to save that much data for a movie. So if I'm able to just play the footage directly on the disc, that's actually nice. Ironic, that's actually really, it's really funny for me to say that because I've gotten comments from people who disputed my idea that like I don't think it's important to be able to play games from the disc, but when it comes to, well, I guess when it comes to movies and television shows, it's a little bit different. But yeah, I will say one thing though, just a little bit of spoilers. I did eventually find a way to get Blu-rays to work. And I'm definitely gonna make a video explaining the process, but the only thing I would say is that in general, whenever you go online and look up guides for how to play your Blu-rays on your computer, it doesn't matter if it's Linux or Windows, but when a lot of times when you watch guides, they're usually talking about VLC. And VLC is great. Like VLC is great for being able to run discs. You just have to click here where it says open disk, and then you just have to select Blu-ray because like the Blu-ray that I'm using as an example is the Aurora Rabbit, and then you just have to click play, and eventually as it keeps loading, it's gonna eventually end up loading the, you know, the copyright disclaimers, and then it'll also eventually head to the main menu. You definitely have to install a bunch of like Java packages in order to get a lot of this to work. Okay, skip this. Um, Funny how I'm able to do this because I'm pretty sure like these kinds of like copyright warnings are actually unskippable. Oh wait, it's also unskippable here. Okay, that's really funny. It's also unskippable here. I was going to say that this tends to not be skippable in like in a lot of Blu-ray players, including PS5s, but here they're like, no. If you try to skip it, we're just gonna repeat it, and it's doing it again. That is actually really funny. I mean, that's fine. Like, let's let it play. Um, I don't know if this is gonna result in my video getting claimed. I really hope it doesn't, cause like, it's just this. I'm not actually playing the entire fucking Blu-ray. But anyway, there's the entire selection of episodes. It's like 12 episodes, like season 1, and so I can do this just fine. And if I select one, I'm not gonna do it. But if I selected one, it's gonna work. Now VLC is sort of like the the intuitive GUI option. However, me personally, I've been using MPV for a very long time, and so I like VLC and I appreciated having it, but you know I still prefer to use MPV overall. Now, of course, I will say one thing though. There are some drawbacks to using MPV for playing Blu-rays, and I'll explain a little in a few minutes. But regardless, one thing I do need to note is that oftentimes, if I do actually want to use Blu-rays with MPV, I have to use this command. And the reason why is because MPV in general is not really a GUI oriented video player. And so a lot of the times you do tend to use MPV with the expectation that you're probably going to use like some launch arguments or custom configurations. Like, this is not the same thing as like having like a video player with entire GUI where you can just go to X menu and whatever. So this is just kind of the way MPV works, and for me it's fine. Like, it's not really that big of a deal, but I do think having to type this entire argument might be a bit too much even for me. Like, if all I want to do is to just play a single goddamn disc, like typing this entire command might be a little bit too much even for me. But here's the funny thing. There is actually something you can do that can kind of allow you to not actually needing to type this entire thing. And I'm going to teach you because the process is actually pretty simple. So now, also, I should note that like the steps that I'm going to share you here are mostly for KDE Plasma. I'm sure there's probably an equivalent for GNOME, XFCE, Cosmic, and other desktop environments. I'm sure there's probably equivalent solutions. Honestly, you can even, the process that I'm about to show you is something you can technically even do it through the terminal. And I might actually end up having to show that on the upcoming video that I'm about to make, because in general, I do intend on my video being broader. I don't want to just cover like with the experience of an Arch Linux user. I do hope that the guide that I'm gonna share, guide-ish that I'm going to share, can apply to a lot of people, not just Arch Linux users. But anyway, in this case, here this little fucking this application launcher. Right click it and click here where it says Edit Application, and afterwards you have to click New Item, and for this one, let's type BD MPV. This is just an example. It doesn't really matter. And generic name doesn't matter. Comment also doesn't matter. Like, you can literally type meh, don't care, just want to watch anime. It actually it literally doesn't matter. These parts here actually do matter. So for program, we're gonna have to type MPV, just that, just leave it as it is. And here where it says command line arguments, that's when you have to type this thing that I just wrote. Now, funny thing is, I created a text file that already has this command, just so I can copy it, and then I can paste it here. And so afterwards, I save it, and I'm fairly certain after doing this, it should work. I've said this because I actually had to re-record this because the first time I actually made a typing mistake. But anyway, um, we should go to home, and obviously to see this you do actually have to enable to see hidden files. But anyway, go to .local, share, and then you have to go to applications, and here's the file that we just created. This didn't exist before, but after we created it here, this started existing. And so if I launch this as an executable, and I can actually hear the sound from my Blu-ray player, it'll actually start launching MPV with that command. And just let it load just a little bit. Takes a couple of seconds, but don't worry. All right, here it is. Now it's actually playing the Blu-ray. Now, I'll say this. Watching Blu-rays through MPV, there are some limitations. For example, I don't think there's the main menu can be loaded here. I think maybe there might be a way, but if I had to, like, based on these selections here, I don't think so. But that's not even necessarily the, like, whatever. If you can't load the menu, who cares? I don't really care that much. Like, but here's the thing. Right now, MPV is actually playing the 11th episode. That's like the Christmas themed episode. Now you'll notice here that if you go to titles, you don't go to chapters, because chapter is just the, like, for example, if I load here, this is the quote unquote second chapter, and that's when it'll play the opening. What you actually have to go is here where it says titles. Now here's where things get a little bit wacky. So right now it's playing title 42. Again, it just randomly selected the 11th episode, and I've done this a couple of times. Like, at least for this Blu-ray, it always seems to load the 11th episode. But whatever, like, as long as you know which episode it is, and as long as it's in order, then who cares? Well, here's the thing. There's like 49 titles here, and a lot of these are duplicates. For example, this right here is a duplicate of, hang on, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. It's a duplicate of this. Like, if I select title 13, it'll play the exact same episode. Just let it load just a little bit. And, like, I'm just gonna tell you in advance, I'm not entirely sure why this happens. I don't, that is just the way that and you can see here it's the same episode. And initially I thought, oh, maybe it's because of the language or something like that, but I mean, I've checked the Blu-ray. I don't think this has an English dub. Does it have an English dub? Let me check the cover. No, it doesn't have an English dub. It just has Japanese one, and as well as subtitles. And yeah, you can select subtitles. It's right here. If I jump around here a little bit, I don't know if it's safe to play it, but okay, here it is. There's the fucking subtitle, so it works. It's just there's this wacky thing where you have to go through this entire mumbo jumbo. And here's the other thing that's also kind of really goofy. So MPV, in its, lightweight madness, if you finish watching a video, the player is just gonna close. So even in this case, like, for example, just let it play up until the very end. Only 3 seconds left. Just let it play, and it'll just close itself. And so for binging anime, maybe this might not necessarily be the best solution. In that case, you might honestly just have to go with VLC, and then yeah, let's open VLC. And for example, let's just open disc. And then here we click Blu-ray, and let's actually select no disc menus, just so I can kind of prove my point. It takes a while to fucking load it. That's just how Blu-rays are. They're just like, to load the fucking footage, it's just so draconian. Okay, that's really funny. This one also plays the 11th episode for no reason. But yeah, let's go to title. Like, for example, let's go with title 1. So this would be the first episode, and I have to click play. Yeah, this is the first episode. So if I go right here and 13, 14, 15. So it finishes playing, but you can still go to the oh wait, no, it actually does finish playing the entire thing. That's really funny. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a way for you. Oh, wait. Maybe I know why it's doing this. There God damn it, this takes a while to load. It might be because uh it might be because when I select the open disk, here it says title 0. Wait. Actually, this makes it even more confusing. It shouldn't be this isn't title 0. This is title fucking 30 whatever. But whatever, like I guess to be fair, like regardless of which I guess regardless of which one. I mean, technically speaking, if I just go to, for example, open disk and go to Blu-ray and just unselect the part that says no disk menus and I click play. Now what I'm about to do might actually get my video content claimed because I'm actually just going to like show the main menu of a Blu-ray and play the an episode. I'm not gonna play the full one, but like this might actually be the point where you dude, copyright like Japanese copyright holders are absolutely ruthless. Like they have absolutely no chill. But anyway, I'm just I was just letting it load. So for example, if I click episode 1 and then let's skip to the last few seconds. I kind of just want to see if it will actually play the second episode, because if it does, it undeniably makes this the best. Okay, let's go to playback, title. Yeah. Yeah, like honestly, VLC in terms of binge watching is the best one, because now it's playing the second episode. Uh, just let it load a little bit. Six sister complexes. This is the second episode, right? I'm pretty sure it is. It's just that it begins the same way, so sometimes I get a little bit confused. But I'm pretty sure this is actually the second episode. And let's let it play just to be sure if it actually plays the third episode. And it will. There you go, it loads the third episode. So yeah, VLC might be more intuitive for that. Now, I can look it up to see if maybe there might be a way for you to for you to load the actual Blu-ray menu on MPV. I have my skepticisms, but if I can think of a solution in order to solve this problem, then I don't really have to use VLC ever again, because I like VLC, but like there's genuinely some advantage to using MPV. For example, I was going to I was actually going to open the terminal, but I forgot I already created this, so I don't even need to fucking do that. Just open this executable and let it open the MPV app. So if I we put this on full screen, and MPV, one of the things that you can do is you can actually, now granted, don't get me wrong, this did actually require me to download custom shaders in order to get this to work, but I can do control 1, control 2, control 3, control 4, control 5, I think also control 6, in which I'm using Anime 4K to actually upscale the footage. Now, of course, the quality is going to vary a lot, because like Anime 4K is not completely perfect. Like sometimes it doesn't necessarily make the footage look all that much better. Like in this case, like for example with this series, I'm seeing a little bit of artifacting with the outlines, and so I'm not even sure if I would want to watch it like this. But the simple fact that you do have the option to upscale the footage if you if it can end up resulting in a better viewing experience, depending on how big your monitor are, like how high resolution your monitor are, it's an advantage that VLC the MPV has, because I don't know how to I don't know how to upscale footage in VLC. Maybe there's some tool that lets you do that. I have no idea. But I don't know, like just the nature of like how customizable MPV is just makes me in general it just makes me want to use that more. And so I'll do more research. I'll try to see if there's a way to like load the Blu-ray menu, because if it does, then maybe MPV doesn't have to close the player right after the episode ends. But yeah, I'll just have to look into that. Now, anyway, obviously this executable is located in this application folder, but like you would have to outright like you'd have to go to home, local, share, applications. So maybe not the most intuitive thing ever, but there is something else that you can do. So firstly, let's go to properties, and you can actually change the icon. Now I'm gonna say this: changing the icon is not going, like, it's not that crazy important, because at the end of the day, even when you do change the icon, by the time it opens MPV, it's gonna load the actual default icon for MPV. And so this is really more so for aesthetic purposes. So I'm gonna click here, Blu-ray icon, open here, and just leave it like that. And then something else that you can do is you can actually add this to the taskbar. So now you have a shortcut. So if I close this, and no, let's keep this open. So if I close this and then I open this, now it's loading the disk, and again, it's going to eventually load a different instance for MPV, but that's kind of the point. Like that's really what we want to do anyway. There you go. It opened MPV, and so it's a nice shortcut to have. So again, I'm I'm gonna have to find a way to maybe get MPV to load the menu. But for example, like, you know, this might not be the best example in terms of like is the order of rabbit, but for example, if you were watching like a movie, like for example, I one of the orders that came from CD Japan, that one of the things that actually inspired me to want to research a little bit more, was the Uma Musume movie, Beginning of a New Era, and I really wanted to finally find a way to get this to work on Linux, and I finally did. And again, in the case of a movie, then, you know, the fact that this only loads one title is fine, because it only has one title. It's an entire goddamn movie. And so you load the Blu-ray, it plays the movie from beginning to end, and then after that, it can close the player, because I don't have to do anything else after that. So in that case, I think it makes a little bit more sense, is what I would say. But as far as like anime series that like has like 12 episodes, this I have to find a way. Otherwise, I think for the time being, MPV is gonna be the better option. But anyway, those are my thoughts. That's what I essentially wanted to share in this video, and hopefully this can serve as sort of like a teaser. It's a long teaser, but a teaser for what I eventually intend on doing in the future. Like I do want to talk more about anime, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like every time I talk about video games, eventually I ended up getting in a sort of like in the depressive doomer mindset. And so sometimes I just have to think and talk about stuff that makes me a little bit less less doomerous. And anime actually does lift up my mood a lot. So I think I should start talking a little bit more about it, especially now that I feel like my Blu-ray collection can actually be, it could be useful now, because I can talk about that as well as my Linux experience. And I don't know, maybe like now that I can actually play these Blu-rays, then it might actually give me more of an experience of actually, you know, sharing my direct, like instead of just streaming anime, I can actually talk about my experience watching Blu-rays. And there's a lot of things that actually do leave a pretty strong impression whenever I buy certain physical media, like things related to, for example, with the aspect ratio and the resolution, and maybe some like bonus content that might be included. And so yeah, I might as well just kind of talk about that. And yeah, anyway, that's really all. Hopefully this video turned out well, and thanks for watching.